Los Santos. The quiet city. The white city is in snowy, not, you know, we're not talking about diversity. Snow. White snow everywhere. And each little snowdrop is like a cold, tingling sensation of crime. That's right. Crime, you heard me right. This city is rife with the stuff. I put my foot in my shoe the other day. What's that? It's all between my toes. Oh my god, it's goddamn crime! And at the moment, it's the biggest crime of all. Well, I guess that's up for debate, really, but it's crime. It's murder. Douglas Happenstance was the guy's name. Surgeon. But he seems to have cut some people up the wrong way. But not with his scalpel. With his sharp instincts. Short temper? I don't know what it is, but something about this guy seems to upset everyone. We spoke to Ralph Huggins. He's a talker. Attorney at law, actually. Kind of guy who talks a lot, but doesn't say much at all. Didn't get on with the man. Shoved his head in a toilet. Doesn't believe in violence, though. But could this guy have pushed him to the edge? I don't know. No one in the hospital seems to have any ideas, but there's talk of Miss Susie Crumplebottom. The Chuck saw her having a fight with him. Also, there seemed to be some animosity between Happenstance and one April Winter. Was there anything to uncover? I'd had one encounter, no, two encounters in fact with Miss Winter, and I couldn't get much, couldn't get a read. I guess you could say that I had only a hazy shade of winter again. Much like last time, but we didn't get to follow through on it. But with a title like that, you can't let it go to waste. I mean, I don't know. But who could solve such a dastardly murder? Shot in the spine, shot from the back. Well, I'm gonna take it on face forwards. My name is Trick Dacy. Private Eye. And I've got some things to find out. If I can get my car out of this multi-story car park. It's got such tight turns. Oh, we're really far away. Come look at me closer. There we go. Oh, that's nice. I wish I had that as my just loading, starting shooting screen, actually. It looks pretty good. Getting very meta there. But we're here. Well, hopefully we can do better than Wednesday when no one was there. No, Monday? Sorry, Monday. Because of the town hall meeting that I forgot about. William Harry Smith. We got Willie, we got Chuck. We've got Bert there, who's in the services. Levi, Wayne, police. What we really want is none of the people we need. Watch the stuff. I'm not seeing Susie. I'm not seeing April.
Fantastic.
It's really, really
it's
good.
It's really, really good.
Thank you very much, new Lisa Life. How are you? Let me give you... I think you're the only person here, so I'm just going to shout yourself out to you. But Lisa, if you're not following New Lisa Life, I really recommend it. They're a great RP. I heard they've not been very well recently, so I hope they're feeling better. I highly recommend it. I've never regretted it. Never regretted it. Hello, Version M. How are you? Are you having a nice? Hello, Kindle. How are you? Lovely stream earlier on. Waspy, whatever you want it to be. I'm very cozy, and I need to be. I've also got. See if I can give a little saucier reveal here that I'm wearing long johns. Show a little bit of leg. Ooh. Oh, I do it. There we go. We saw some shin. Some covered shin. Victorians are going wild right now. They can't handle it. They're reporting. We also call them long colon. Well, they call them thermals, but if you want to have a fun, you know, it's a bit more fun calling long johns, isn't it? But they are very much that. They are very thermal. I'm very toasty in this hoodie. It's been great. Like, this morning was very, very cold here. Don't know if you know, Kindle, but in the UK right now. I mean, I think you were somewhere near New York, where it's always cold in winter. But still, it's been very cold here. I've done my best to curtail that. Is that the word I'm looking for? But let's get a shout out for Kindle. The ukulele twin. You were saying in the forest, northern New Hampshire. Oh wow. Oh wow. I wonder if that's something like Old Hampshire. I doubt it. You want some fun fact? You want a fun fact? Anywhere like a Hampton, Southampton, Northampton, they're a town that grew hemp. So it was like Northampton, Hemptown, Southampton. That is a fun fact. Yeah, so all the people I wanted to talk to and interrogate aren't on. I should probably plan these things in advance more than just assuming everyone's going to be on. Because they usually are. But you can take that fact and you can go and dish it out. Spread it out as if it were your own. You got that for free. You got that for free, everyone. But is everyone having a nice? Has anyone got any exciting weekend plans? Cassandra's on. Yeah, 8 o'clock. I think I jumped the gun a little bit early, but it's because I planned to be off by like 9. Well, there is someone who I do know I need to talk to, but Trick doesn't know it yet. I don't think I can work a way around that. All I can suggest, Kindle, is just get a garden hose and just chase them. Just shower them like a zoo, like a fire hose. Ugh. Against the wall, bang, done. But I'm sure me trying to just drive out of this thing should hopefully prove entertaining enough. Do we see something cool this car does? And I can't wait for the opportunity to do it. Check this out. I can get out on the side. So you can have someone driving it and you can be like, get your gun out. Be like, look at that. You can't get a good angle of it on the camera, unfortunately. But yeah. One day we'll get to use that. Nope. Which number was it? Nope. That's the Alright. Vehicle. Driver's seat. I mean, I could just do the jump and see what happens. It's being power gamey, I guess. Supposed to value your life, but... Should we just go for it? See what happens? Alright. Well, let's get a decent run up. Here we go. Way! Oh no. I mean, it's not too damaged, considering what I just went through. It's not too bad. Didn't even smash any windows. Must be a pretty sturdy, Ah, thank you very much. Thank you for the bits. Right, what's that on the old tweeters there? Lisa Palmer, who's that? Can't think who Lisa Palmer is. Oh, so one thing that is going to happen with Trick, as I said, if Yellow Submarine won that award, so the charity I work for, then Trick would do a parachute jump from the tallest building. And if it went wrong, that would be him permed. So I've got to kind of get that arranged, but I also have to solve the murder before I do anything like that, I reckon. So that's something in his future that could be, which I'm quite nervous about, because I love playing Trick. I don't want him to die. Let's see if the chuck's about and give us some answers. Doesn't seem like anyone's here.
Things.
Whoa there. You okay there? Ooh. Let's see who this is. Whoa there, are you okay?
Sorry, I just wanted to give you a little scare.
You gave me a real scare. You're some kind of half Persian, half dog.
They call me Patty Pitbull.
Oh yes.
Don't fuck with Patty Pitbull.
Well, I never would. I'm guessing you're not police officers.
I am actually.
Well, she is, yeah.
Oh,
Alright, Trick.
oh, LaRue didn't recognize you.
Sorry.
I was just wondering if LeChuck was around, but I guess I'd give him a call.
No, he's just responding to something right now. I can get him in a second.
Well,
for you.
you might be able to. I just want to see if there are any updates on the old, any new info on the Happenstance case. I've been going around asking people, but I wonder if the police had anything new.
No, I haven't heard anything from the detectives as of yet, but I can check in with them when they're around.
Okay. I see.
Oh, there's so much through my head.
Well, something I wanted to find out was, is it possible to find out everyone who has a gun license in this town?
Sadly, that's confidential
I mean,
information.
But maybe we could do some cross-referencing, and if I just wanted to check on a certain few people.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Be your old pal Trick. Come on now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't bend the rules. But if you people do have a weapons license and they respond, I can't do that. But
Do you think
people can
Hawkins
get guns without?
If I speak to Hawkins?
No. Unfortunately, now it doesn't matter if you have a weapons license. You can still get a gun. So.
Yes, I know that, but you know, gotta fight any deeds I can.
I know. Well, my best bet is for you to ask around and see if non-PD members, because we can't give out that information, unfortunately.
I see, because all I just want to find out is if, what's his name? Dr. Malcolm Takehart? Yes, that's the one. She got a gun's license.
I have to ask him.
That's all I'm after. That's all I need to find out about.
Alright.
He's got a gun and all that.
He's got a gun, you say?
No, I'm just joking. I don't know.
Oh. Great joke.
Apologies.
Someone's annoying me.
Also, how do we make these snowmen? I'd quite like to make a snowman. I want to build a snowman.
It's a PD speciality trick.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Oh. I also heard rumors that we can make snowballs. Is that true, or is that another police?
I think soon we'll learn how. Oh, you bloody bastard.
What are you struggling with there, LaRue?
They're really difficult.
I mean, it looked
I
great
don't
to
like
me.
it very much.
You want it to be facing a particular direction, is that the
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's pretty good. That's quite good.
That'll do. That'll do. How are you doing anyway, Daisy?
I'm good. I'm just trying to follow a few leads and see if I can crack this case.
Yeah.
Got a few people of interest.
Alright, that's good then. But your best bet is to talk to Kennedy or Brooks, I believe the people on the case would be.
Yes. Just wondering, were you at the masquerade ball?
I was not at the I slept in.
I see.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna be in disguise.
Who's that? Is that LeChuck?
It is.
Excellent. Also need to talk about payment. That's something we didn't think about.
A payment?
Well, I've been asked by the police to dig into this case. Can't just do it for free.
Right. Oh, that's fair. Who asked you?
LeChuck. That's why I needed to speak to LeChuck, you see?
I see. LeChuck, could you come over here, please?
Hi.
Remember when people would say, hey, you don't look professional because you're wearing shorts?
Mm-hmm.
Like your headwear there, LeChuck.
Uniform? Oh,
No. It's just special for me. Oh, off you go.
LeChuck, there's a couple of things I was wanting to talk to you about.
Sure.
Now, I've just spoken to Lou about this, and I got a bit of a no, but I'm hoping that you might say otherwise. I was wondering if there's a way to, if I just gave some names to find out if certain people had some weapons licenses. Now, obviously people can get a hold of guns without them, but surely could be provide some useful information.
Hello, come this way. So you said, LaRue said she's not going to give you the...
She said it was confidential information. I mentioned I was after specifically Dr. Malcolm Takehart, and I don't know. She then was like, "This is confidential information. I can't give this out."
Okay. Well, I mean, if the captain says no, here's the thing, though, right?
Yes.
What I know is that when a lot of people lose their weapons license, or like whenever they get one, they end up buying a lot of guns and storing them somewhere. So even if they lose it and they don't have it anymore, they still have access to guns.
And it's not like on record that they once had it and then they lost it. Like, we can't see who's applied for one.
Okay, if I give you the info about whether Takehart had it or not, is that gonna come back to me somehow?
I don't think so. Well, I know that... No, I don't think so. The other person I'm curious about is Miss April Winter. Do you know her?
Yeah, and I know April. Why?
She's a suspect in the case.
How come?
Well, I've heard a lot of people... I've not had the chance to question her yet. But I've had a lot of people mention her name when I've been asking around. Apparently there's some kind of bad blood between April and Happenstance.
Okay, I know some stuff about what happened between them. First of all, though, the license thing.
Yes.
I'll tell you whether Takehart had. Hold on, let's just. I'll tell you whether Takehart had or not.
Or you may know that
found
he's had a
this-
weapon without a license at some point. Maybe he's got some kind of history. I don't know. I keep hearing a lot about this kind of weird possession, hocus pocus, load of hooey, if
Oh,
you
no,
ask
that
me.
that was unfortunately real.
Yeah, people
He was
keep
possessed
saying
at
that,
one
but
point, and he's been cured though. So everything that happened recently has been after he got cured. So can't blame any of that on demons. Yeah, so I'll tell you about the license, but the way you found it is that you talked to someone who saw Takehart go apply for a license. You didn't hear it from me, okay?
yeah, okay, yeah, sounds good to me.
So he had one.
So he has a license. So he's
He had it.
potentially in possession of a firearm.
Yeah, he possessed a weapons license at some point, but then something happened that I can't really say what, that resulted in him losing the license. It got revoked.
But as you say, people stock up. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
had the opportunity to buy plenty of guns.
Yeah, like if somebody, people all the time get the license, stock up on guns, because if they're going to use it for a crime, they know it's going to get revoked,
Yeah, I see. Okay. What about Mr. Ralph Huggins?
The lawyer,
Yes, lawyer now.
what's about him?
Do you happen to know if he has a weapons license? He said no when I asked him.
I don't think he does, no.
Okay.
Let me... Hold on. He doesn't have them.
Okay, I think that tracks. He doesn't strike me as a
Ralph
violent
isn't
type.
really... Yeah. Even when Ralph was doing crime back then, he never really did anything violent.
Okay.
So I don't really see him shooting anyone, There is the thing that I told you last time about the conversation I had with Happenstance at the party.
Well, Shuji?
No, like I had with Happenstance.
Refresh my
when he
memory.
said, okay, so he came up to me in the party and he was saying that there's something about Takehart that concerns the police that we need to know about him. but then he didn't want to. You know, I don't know why he didn't speak about it. He just said he didn't want to talk about it right now in the party, and that we'll speak about it later.
Yes, I remember this now. I remember this show.
Yeah, I have no idea what he wanted to say, but if he said it concerns the police, then I assume some sort of a crime or something that Takeheart did.
I see.
Of course, at the end of that night, you know, he got killed.
Of course. And you were saying, so I mentioned Miss April Winter.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of previous criminal records or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nothing like that. What did you say was? What did her name come up again?
Just people mention when I've been asking around saying, does anyone know of anyone that seemed to dislike him or didn't get on with him? Her name has come up a few times.
Happenstance was very rude to a lot of people. Like,
I'm learning that. Seems like a rude fella.
Yeah, like I had a conversation with him before that, you know, wasn't really nice. I've seen him be rude to April, but you know, just because people don't get along doesn't mean, you know, they're gonna kill
You
each
say
other,
you've seen him be rude to April.
I've seen him be rude to a lot of people. So if you're saying that somebody saw something, it's probably something like that. He was actually fighting with Susie at the party.
Yes, I was hoping to speak to Susie today, but I've not. What is that noise? I've never heard that noise before. Is it the car?
I guess it's a car alarm.
If my car made that noise, I'd want someone to steal it. Get rid of it.
Do you know about the whole money getting stolen from the hospital?
Yes. So my first protocol was the hospital, and I got filled in all about it.
Okay.
I still haven't had a chance to talk to Takeheart, to April, or to Susie. And another name that keeps popping up is the mayor.
Oh yeah, the mayor. The mayor is acting weird at the party, actually.
And lastly, someone called the car dealership guy. That shambles of a human being. Pretty sure he lives in that car dealership. Yes, Wolf. That's it.
Oh, I've not seen him since the party, actually.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has. I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to talk to him.
See, now that you mentioned the mayor as well, the mayor and the party, I think Happenstance brought up, because she was bidding on, you know, the dates.
Yeah, that's right.
Happenstance accused her of taking that money out of the city funds.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They kind of got into an argument there.
And with a
then
big
after that,
am I right in thinking there's a election season coming up?
Oh yeah.
You don't want people spreading those kind of words about you during election season.
Mm-hmm. And after he died, when we were at the hospital, do you know what she said?
What did she say?
She came in, and then she was more concerned about the party being interrupted. Not that somebody actually died, you know? Just didn't give a shit about that. Just came in like, oh, like, why did this have to happen right now? Like, the party got interrupted, and then she walked away.
Oh, she. Okay, well, hopefully I can. If there's some kind of announcement of the candidates or something this Sunday or something that they might be in attendance of.
Susie's gonna be there, if you want to speak to her.
Oh yes. Wait, what does that mean? Does that mean what I think that means?
Yeah, Susie's running for mayor.
By God.
I know.
What? You running for mayor, LeChuck? Imagine. That's what the city
Oh,
really
okay.
needs. Sensible
Don't
pair of
really
hands.
like,
It's cool
don't really
head.
like the politics and that stuff. I'd rather
Why you're not
people
captain?
more
I don't know.
directly. You know, for now, we do have a captain. If
You don't have any interest in being a detective either?
no detective, no. If at some point, you know, I'm able to become a captain, then sure. But
You can have
not
more than one
exactly,
captain, right? That's a thing. That's okay. I don't know.
I mean, the hospital has 2 chiefs.
Exactly. You can have more than one, you know, because you can't all be on duty all the time, so it gives each other, you know. Captain LeChuck's got a good ring to it.
It does sound nice, yeah. Yeah, if you want to speak to Susie, I'm not sure if she's going to be around today, but definitely for the election thing,
It's
she's
going to
going
be
to
a
show
busy
up.
day. I believe there's a wedding on Sunday, too.
Actually, yeah. Maybe you'll have more people to speak to at the wedding.
Weddings, funerals, it's all happening.
Very busy few weeks. But yeah, Mayor is acting weird. Susie had to fight, but Takehart was there
Tickok was...
on the murder scene. Like he was the only person there.
Oh, yes, of course. I just had a brief moment when I thought I got Happenstance and Takehart mixed up, and I was like,
Oh no.
yes, of course he was there. Yes, I know, and I haven't had a chance to speak to him yet either. A lot of elusive people. Otherwise, I think this investigation would have been over already.
Yeah, it's just hard to find where people are. Everyone's just doing different things. But yeah, I hope we sort this out. I mean,
I love this
it's
shot
a bit
here
scary, you know.
in the
We didn't find any
lamplight.
evidence.
In the snow. It's a beautiful night. Sorry, I was just admiring the night. It's lovely.
Oh yeah.
Like if
Really nice weather, yeah.
I wear these contact lenses, you see, which makes things appear, maybe I can't see color that well. And it just looks beautiful right now for me.
That sounds really nice.
It's black and white in the snow, the lamplight. Shitty skyline in the background. I love it.
Yeah, I can imagine how that would look, yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
Oh,
no?
there's one more kind of
Susie.
delicate matter to Chuck.
Oh?
Payment.
Oh right, shit, we never discussed that. Okay.
I wouldn't usually be that bothered, but I'm trying to get myself an office.
No,
and
of course. I mean,
property is more
you're
expensive
involved.
than I realized.
We contacted you about this, so how much would it be for this case?
I mean, it's a pretty big case. It's taken a lot of time. I was thinking
So how much are you thinking?
maybe like 40 grand? Does that seem too much? I don't know. It's literally the price of an office.
No, that sounds good.
Do we need to clear this with Kennedy?
No, I'll need to speak to the chief about it. But
Sorry, yeah, with
yeah, let's-
Hawkins. Sorry, I meant Hawkins.
yeah. Yeah, I'll speak to the chief about it.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, we should have probably discussed that when
Yeah, I
first
was-
give you the case.
Hadn't thought about it. Sometimes I get so excited when I get given a case I forget there's my livelihood.
Yeah, I understand.
Right, thank you very much, LeChuck. I'm gonna head out and see if there's find any leads on anyone else.
All right, good luck. If you have any more questions, need any more help, just give me a call.
Will do, LeChuck. Have
And
yourself
again,
a
the
safe
weapon
night.
License thing, you just heard about it from someone, not me.
Yes, of course. I overheard it from someone else who was around.
Mm-hmm.
Right, thank you, LeChuck.
No problem.
Hope
See
you
ya.
have a safe shift.
Oh, there's the chief actually.
Ah, Chief.
Hey,
Oh, Trick. Nice to see you.
Pleasure to see you too, Chief. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
I
Not
see
too
that
bad.
everyone's getting in the festive spirit around here.
Yeah, we like to, try and keep it light.
Yeah, apart from when someone's wearing shorts and then suddenly it's against uniform. But anyway.
Yeah, we
Point
were
taken.
discussing the just the case, the
Yes.
happenstance thing, and we realized that we never really discussed payment with Daisy. For, like,
No, that's
you know.
true. We didn't. Okay. What sort of rate are you thinking of then?
Well, just because in the size of the case, I was just going to ask for 40k. Literally just how much it would cost me to get an office.
40k. All right. Let me just check if I've got your details here.
Oh, wow. Is this out of your personal pocket, or can you do police funds straight from your phone?
Do you want to pass me your details, Trick? Just so I can make sure everything's square. There we go. Fantastic. All right. If you wanna create an invoice for the amount owed.
Now, I don't have a business license yet. Is that a problem?
That's fine. You should be able to flex your F7 muscle and create one that way.
Personally, create invoice.
LeChuck, someone's standing next to you asking for you.
Oh, hello.
Excuse me. I've been attacked. But
Don't listen to him.
These people
Don't
attacked
listen to
me.
him. He did fucking not. Right, what happened? What?
There you go.
What happened?
Fantastic.
He
Let me take a look.
was being aggressive, attacked us, and I had to put him down. Right? It was self-defense.
Okay, that sounds.
Oh,
fair.
thank you very much, Chief.
This
You attacked him
dog,
first.
There you go.
I won't let you
Peter
down.
Pickle,
I've got a few people in my firing line, see?
push me off my
All right.
back, hit my back.
That's the first payment. The second half
Okay, so you're
You hear
saying
me?
they
The
attacked you
second
first,
half
and you're saying
Yes.
comes
you
on
attacked
completion
first,
of
so there's
contract.
nothing I could do
Thank you
about
very
that, I'm
much.
It's 2 against
All
1,
right.
to be fair.
Yes.
Have
I
you
know
got
you do
rabbit?
good
Hello,
work,
Phoenix
Trick,
Cross.
so I'm expecting lots from you.
Thank you very
I
much. I
am.
won't let you down, Chief. I'm
Oh, no.
already, like I
I
say,
am.
I've narrowed it down to about 4 or
Make a
5
note,
people.
Get this one looked into.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
That's only because I
Let's
haven't had a
get that
chance to
narrowed
sort
down
the 4 of
further.
them yet.
Who's above you?
Yes. Okay. Brilliant.
Him. Over there.
That
Good
one.
stuff.
The one in the cap.
Thank you.
The one.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Over there.
So, Levi,
Hawkins.
Yes.
With the self-defense.
Yeah.
didn't realise it was
case,
you in the
me
mask all
myself.
along.
Oh yeah, that's me.
What's the problem?
I've
What's
now
going
got the money to get this office if you're willing to give me a hand.
How long will you be about tonight?
Oh, about another hour and a half or so.
Right, we'll get you seen to now then, because I'm going to be busy in about half an hour.
Well, it's not far from here either, so.
You can take my car, Levi.
You sure?
And Daisy, one quick thing. I wanted
Yeah,
to
we can
mention.
get
Oh,
you.
sorry.
All right.
Just one quick thing. So, I wasn't the first person that responded to the
It was
scene,
Owl, right?
Yeah, so it was Owl, and when he got there, and like found Take Heart and all that, he immediately called me. At that point, I was there because you were saying some people were mentioning stuff about April. I was in the party with April at that point.
Okay.
So we were at the party, we were dancing for like the whole time, and she never left.
So April never left the party, you say?
Yeah,
Okay. And don't think April's
The
the kind of
mayor
person that could be in
did, though.
cahoots with anyone else to
No, I don't-
organize anything?
April, nah, like just because someone had an argument with somebody, it's April would never do anything like that.
Okay. Well,
The
I still
mayor
need,
did,
I still need to
disappear
question them
from
though.
it. Yeah, of course. You need you need all sides of the story. But the mayor did leave at some point.
Oh, the mayor left, you say? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember if Susie and others were there the whole time or not, though.
Okay,
Well,
well,
yeah.
that's what I intend to ask them about, so hopefully you'll find that out.
Mhm.
Right, I better get going. I don't want to keep Levi waiting.
Yeah. Good luck with the office.
Thank you very much. So it's literally right next to where Davy's office is.
Oh yeah, unpopular street on 11.
8187, I believe.
81.
I think that's it, but
7. Yep. Well, it's still good to take your card, or do you want it? I can do it.
ooh, we're getting an office, everyone. This is exciting. I have no idea how you. Whoa! Car does not handle the snow well. I have no idea how to decorate it and all that stuff. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. That's Davy. Whoa.
Oh yeah, you're looking for right next door.
Literally right next door. Is that's not going to be a problem at all, is it?
Shouldn't be. Oh. I've never done one this close, to be totally honest with you.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it might be a problem, but we can go a few doors down if it doesn't work.
The thing I'm scared of is the interiors perhaps overlapping.
Oh, I didn't realize that's how they worked.
Yes.
What
This
if we... Could I enter through the garage door?
We could do the garage door if you'd prefer. The thing is, if it does go wrong, I can't get rid of it yet.
I see.
So it could cause problems for Davy for a while if it does go wrong.
And that guy's got enough problems as it is.
Would you be alright with a few doors down, maybe?
Yeah, of course.
I just think it's better safe than sorry, you know. I believe this one's might be taken. Yeah, this one's taken.
Oh, what's here?
You know, my office is on the street as well.
Oh, it's clearly the place to be.
Well, mine's
Oh,
much
wait.
further down.
What's the word I'm looking for? Gentrifying. We're gentrifying the place.
Yeah, that's it. What
How about this one?
Here?
This looks good to me.
Well, if it works for you, it works for me. Do you have any idea of what interior you'd be looking for?
So, you know, anything that kind of matches my kind of private investigation office kind of vibe.
There's one with a nice wood finish on the walls.
Ooh,
it's got
yes.
a bar, lots of space. I think I got one that'll match you just perfect. You know.
Oh, really?
Aye. Now for this area, it's a bit run down, but it's near some nice places, you know, and the interior is quite large. So I think we could do this for. How much did I quote you before?
Well, 45k, I believe it was.
Yeah, the 45. We could do 45. Just because the area is a bit run down, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was hoping for. The area being a bit run down, that it'd be a bit cheaper. See?
Alright, that's it. 45 is just fine, I think. Right, I'll get you set up here and then you can be on your way. Oh, new thing. New bloody thing here.
Oh, yeah.
Here, listen to this. Listen to this. I don't have to interview voice you for any money. Because
You just take it away.
I just put the slip on the door and you just pay for it and that's it. That's it.
Oh, excellent.
Fuck it. Oh, it's magical. It's magical.
Oh, one more thing. A slight favour. Don't suppose you have any drinks on you, do you?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'm thirsty.
I'm quite thirsty and I realised I don't have anything left.
Here you are. Have some cafe agras.
Oh, thank you very much. That's exactly... Oh, wow, 7 of them? Do you mean to give me 7?
Yeah,
I'm going to be so hyped
you're
up on
lucky.
caffeine.
The amount of drinks I have in my pockets, you can have as many as you'd like.
Oh, is there a hint of vanilla in this?
2 pumps.
2 pumps? Well, it's not regular milk, right? Different milk?
That is its old milk.
2 pumps of
Smells-
vanilla and an oat milk.
It's my always. I always order that. It's the best way to enjoy a coffee. It doesn't make you fruity, no matter what anyone says.
Oh, I can't imagine anyone saying that. Doing any particular gestures or anything like that that could have happened.
No.
And when I get a property, does that mean I get a car parking space as well? Is that a thing?
Aye, that's it. That's right.
Oh, amazing.
There you go. If you go to the door there, you're able to purchase it.
So it says view? Can
Yep,
view-
if you view the slip, you should be able to see the prices on it and pay for it up.
Done. Oh, wow.
Jobs are good. Get your should we do your garage like right here
Yes, perfect.
in front of this door here.
Yes, perfect.
You go, there's your garage there.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited.
I can't guarantee that when you pull your vehicle up, the garage will be facing any particular way.
That's
but,
okay. Not too
should
close to that
be
lamppost.
alright.
Should be alright.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You know, give it enough berth and space if no matter which way it's coming
I'm
out.
known for my parking skills.
Well, that's good. That's good. Shall we go have a quick tour around the inside and give you the rundown on how to do everything on the
Ooh,
inside?
yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Right, let's go on then.
So I guess I go in and then you ring the doorbell? Or because you're a real estate, can you just go straight in?
I've got my Skellington key.
Oh, yes.
I think this.
Oh, that's massive.
Oh yeah, it's quite big on the
It's
inside.
huge. Oh, I got a little kitchen.
Aye, a nice little kitchen here. You got down here. You got your what you call it, cloakroom. You put your clothes here or whatever.
Oh, shit. Oh.
No, all these doors are sealed shut.
Yes,
I believe.
as I like them.
Yeah.
I like to have a bunch of rooms that no access to at all.
Aye, that's it. But yeah, you know, you could have a living space here if you wanted, with your kitchen, and then have your office over in this section. But it's up to you, totally up to you to what you do. But you've got plenty of space here for whatever you're thinking.
Oh, wow. Can't tell if it's a window or a piece of art.
It's a window. I think they said they clouded over though.
Yeah, it's a real tinted windows.
Tinted windows. That's it. And also, if you feel like it's too big, you can always put some walls up to block off the areas you weren't interested in.
Oh, and when you do that, are you able to put one that's a door, so it's almost like you create a new room?
You can do, yes.
Oh, interesting.
If you need a hand with that, it's a bit finicky, but I can show you how to do it.
Well, I think I'll just kind of get set up first and then worry about those things.
Of course. I do offer an interior design service, you know, if you
Well,
feel
I've
like
spent
you're-
most of my money on what we have now, so I'll wait till I've earned a bit more.
Aye, of course. Right, well, if you flex your F1 muscle, and then in general house interactions, you can see all your different options there.
Oh yes.
You can
Decorate.
decorate, give your keys away, take keys away, or you can, in interaction locations, you can set where you keep all your things, or you change your clothes, or where you go to bed.
Excellent.
So it's all pretty simple from there on out, you know.
Oh,
If you
I
want
love it.
to,
I love it, Levi. Thank you so much.
It's all right. It's all right. It's just all part of the job. All part of the job. At the front door on the outside, you can unlock it so people can just walk in if you want.
Yes.
That's up to you.
Well, I'll definitely do that. I'm thinking I take walk-ins.
Oh yeah. All right then. I think that's everything sorted. If you have any trouble or you need any help, you can always give me a ring.
Levi, you're an absolute angel.
Nah, like I said, it's just part of the job. Getting a few more real estate agents on staff soon, hopefully, as well. So hopefully they'll give you a hand.
Excellent.
All right then. Well, I'll be on my way if you're happy with this.
Yeah, I'm more than happy with it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right, I'll see you soon then.
Right,
Stay
bye,
safe
Levi.
out
Have
there.
yourself a pleasant evening.
You too, you too.
Oh, look at this. We've got an office. Now, one thing I don't like is the ornate thing, but I do like the ceiling fan. This is almost like a barn or something. So it is tempting to kind of ward it off, so just this bit is the office. So I want the ceiling fan. But then, I don't know. It's right next to the front door, which is probably a bit awkward. I don't know how much all the furniture costs. / how to do any of that. Should we have a quick look? Oh, my car. Wait. I'm gonna just hope my car's still there and park it. Yes. Just in case. If you go into the furniture thing, you may crash the game. It's very, very buggy. Okay. So what, do you have any recommendations? Yeah, I just want to have a peek. I just want to see, I don't want to place stuff. I just kind of want to see how much stuff costs, because I might not be able to afford half of it anyway. Where's my, There's my out. Where's my in? Yeah, just a peek. We have a little peek. See what furniture is available. Yeah, it looks like a nightmare. I'm not going for anything too complicated. Like, Taffman was putting so many ornaments and stuff around, whereas I'm just going really for a desk, a chair. If I could have something like a typewriter on it. Okay. Let's take the gamble. Decorate house. Oh. To move the camera. Arrow keys to move object. Left alt to place object on the ground. F3 to switch and turn and move. Page down is to move up and down. F3 to switch and turn. Oh, I'm not going to remember any of this. Okay, now what do I do? How do I see what objects there are? Oh. I don't know what to do. Oh, I should have asked Levi. Arrow keys to move. Left alt to place object. Escape. Oh, here we go. It says stuff up at the top. My objects, objects. How do I choose those things though? Escape isn't making me get out. Oh, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Uh-oh. You warned me. You did warn me. Ooh. What do we do? What do we do? Oh. Log out and log in. That gets you back to character. Oh no. So I've just gotta exit basically. Right? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Apologies, everyone. I should have listened to you, Sheep. Should have listened. Should have listened. Just so we don't. Wait, no. What am I doing? I don't know. Yeah, I need a bit of help. That's a shame. Hopefully now when I return, it's not going to be a problem. I'm having a nice. Are you having a nice? Sorry about your bonus. But great news, you know. Well done for attending your it's literally called Popular Street. I thought he was oh. Vehicle payment due within 30 minutes? Oh, bloody hell. That was scary when it was falling for a moment. Right, we've got to go and pay for the car now. Oh. And then hopefully we should have someone to question. I think we will. Let's go! How am I doing for gas? Oh, I'm alright. I thought it was actually called Popular Street, and I thought he was just saying, Levi was just saying it's a popular street. Cool. Oh, I don't have a mod, do I? Need to give a shout out for Amy. She plays Levi. Levi is a character I'm genuinely scared of. I know. She's got that character perfectly, the kind of threatening aura, and just the look, the clothes, everything kind of matches exactly who Levi is. It's incredible. I'm having a bit of a, that's kind of made my brain go a bit funky. So we've gone from being fairly rich to stable in a matter of moments. I don't know whose car that is outside though. Because no one's here. I'm going to go quickly. Oh, is it Amy J Art for the Twitch, or is that just their Twitter handle? No, got it right. Wait. Right, let's have a look. Services. Sebastian. Ronald Wesley. That's what I thought. Ronan. Logan. Hopefully we interact with Logan at some point. So I think they might have some information for us. Ooh, we'll do it backwards. We'll do it backwards. Somebody said she was going to be on in about 20 minutes. So hopefully we'll be able to finally interrogate April. See what's going on there. Don't worry, the case isn't getting solved. But I am thinking I need to get it all done, rounded up quickly, because it's gone on for so long. I think some people have forgotten it's even a thing. So I'm kind of going to try. April may or not be heading to the hospital now. Excellent. So I've been like, I want to try and maybe see if I can get it wrapped up by next weekend. That's what I'm hoping. Could be. Well, so I'm attending a children's Christmas party. Well, I'm DJing a children's Christmas party next Saturday. So it might have to be some... I don't know. But I'm hoping. I also need to recruit someone to do a very specific role. But yeah, I really need... There are some people I think I'm just not going to get a chance to interrogate them. Whoops! And it's fine. I.e. the woof. And I'm... That's the thing, I don't want to... Maybe I will have to do something. I don't know. But I want to get the mayor. It's busy in here. I've left a slight hint of colour this time. I really like it. So every time I'm going to leave the slightest little hint of colour. Barely even noticeable. It's just you can see the sky is slightly blue. Very, very slightly. Oh, is this the new, Oh, I don't know. All-terrain vehicle.
I'll be back.
Okay, stay soon.
I'll come with.
Hey there, Logan.
Howdy.
Duty. Bear with me.
How you doing,
White
Trick?
ones.
I'm real good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Am I?
How's the case going?
I've got a few leads I'm following up on.
You know, Sebastian, I just realized.
Oh, I thought you... For a moment, I thought they were inside the fish tank then, and I was...
He was.
How's that
He
happen?
was.
You're like a real David Blaine.
What's Sebastian doing this
Mm.
paperwork? That doesn't
Oh, he's in
his
there.
eyes look soulless.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
Oh my
Bloody
god.
Could a doctor please,
Levi's going through
Could a
it.
doctor please reset my jaw? Could a doctor stop
yes.
it? Could doctor...
Let me fix your jaw there.
Levi, are you good?
Oh,
Right, we're just gonna snap that jaw back into place.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
oh,
Yep, it's a bit painful,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know,
Jeez,
we gotta do what we gotta do.
Louise. Holy Jiminy Crickets, that was painful.
I bet you feel better now, though, don't you?
Well, that's not the phrase I'd use. Dr. Winter, yes?
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, Chief of Medicine Winter.
Chief of
Well,
Medicine.
Co-chief.
Co-chief. Well, I was wondering if I could perhaps ask you some questions very shortly.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to assist. Any questions you have?
Excellent. Well, I'm just going to finish my chat here with Logan, and then I'll come.
Of course.
I'll
You know,
come.
let me know, and I can take you to our office.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Knock my damn hat off.
How you doing, Sebastian?
What was I going to say? Should we step over here, Logan? Just so we're... It's not in everyone's ears. Did I see correctly a little wedding announcement?
Yes. Corinne and I are getting married on Sunday.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
Do you need anyone to walk you down the aisle?
Sure, yeah.
I'd like to think you think you'd be some kind of father figure in the 2 or 3 times we've met very briefly.
Oh yes, yeah. I can see me thinking that, definitely.
Makes sense. Now, last time I saw you, I asked you, about keeping your ear to the ground. Anything come up for you?
Nothing. I have been trying to seek out any information, but not many people have anything. I haven't even seen Take Heart to ask a few questions.
Yes, and I'm also curious, so by the sounds of it, April and Orion are the new co-chiefs. So that makes me think, has Takehart left the hospital?
Takehart has stepped down from his role, but has not left entirely.
He hasn't left, but no one's seen him.
People have seen him. I think last time people saw him was when he came in to move the roles around.
I gotcha. So he hasn't upped and bolted out of town, is what I'm getting at.
Yes. Well, I'm not actually quite sure. People are used to take heart just leaving and then coming back.
Yes.
So,
Well, a lot of us do that around these parts.
oh, indeed, yes. So nothing quite suspicious just yet.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm about to... Do you know April over there?
Yes, yes. Good friend of mine.
Good friend of theirs? You're not aware of any kind of bad blood between April and Happenstance at all?
Yes, I do. I do think there might be a little something, but I don't think April could hurt a fly. But that's what they say about a lot of people.
So you've seen it too, because the Chuck was kind of saying he's witnessed once or twice.
Yes, she has said some things that might have been considered quite nasty about Happenstance, but I didn't even know that they were talking level or anything. Yes, but I would say that was probably.
I see. So you're saying that April has made the threatening remarks towards Happenstance.
I wouldn't say threatening, just unkind things.
See, what I've heard when I was speaking to the Chuck about it was it's Happenstance was saying the unkind things to April.
Oh, I don't doubt that it's a two-way street. It generally is.
I see. It's just he made it seem quite one-sided. I'm wondering why that is.
I don't know. I don't know too much about anything. I've just seen from a distance arguments, but people argue all the time in the city, so I don't know.
Hawkins was a bit limp, but we picked him up and gave him some cheesecake.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a cure for all.
Yep.
Yes.
Take Heart and I don't really have a very good relationship.
Yeah, she said this last time.
I'm not planning on murdering him or anything, so.
Well, I hope not, because I'll be on the case if you do. Or probably the police.
Yeah,
but
that'd probably be quite damning.
the fact you've just said that, I mean, doesn't bode well for you if you do go for it.
Yes. Well.
Something I can't quite put my finger on. Everyone I've spoken to about the kind of relationship between Take Heart and Happenstance, no one's mentioned any kind of bad blood between them.
No. I think they were quite civil.
In fact, one was very admiring, I believe.
Oh. Alright.
So my understanding is that Take Heart seemed to be very admiring of... No, sorry, Happenstance seemed to be very admiring of Dr. Take Heart.
Yes, well, Dr. Take Heart, well, before the possession, of course, is quite a renowned doctor. Was quite good at his job, hence the chief of medicine.
I see. Okay. Okay.
I was going to ask, is there a color scheme that
That's a good point. I think just
Well, I'm gonna go and
that's about it.
question April a little bit, see what I can find out about this bad blood between them.
Oh yes, that's a good idea. Sadly, you can't get a Happenstance side of the story, but April can certainly shed some light, hopefully.
Yes.
But I don't actually know what Logan's wearing.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I'll let you go chat with April. It was nice having a chat with you. I like when you come over and talk. I feel like I'm in a noir movie. You know?
A what movie?
Like L.A. Confidential. Have you seen that?
No, but I didn't think we were supposed to. I saw the DVD case and it said confidential, so I was like, oh, not for me. No, we're not supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be looking at this.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I really
Does it have
do.
Spacey in it?
Yeah, well, you can just
dear.
ignore that. Yeah.
That's probably why it's
just block that
confidential.
out. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Just fast forward every time he's on screen.
You know when he was in that film and then they kind of replaced him with Christopher Plummer or someone like that? Maybe they should do that with every film. You should just digitally replace them with, I don't know.
He's just gonna have to woo me while I'm a married man.
Yeah, just
Judi
cut out
Dench.
a picture of it. Yeah, cut out a picture of Judi Dench and just paste it on top every time he's on screen. Yeah, I like that.
I'd love to see Judi Dench in
I
Seven.
imagine that's what he's after anyway.
Oh, that would be great.
He does.
Genuinely would.
He does like it topless though.
Yes, another level of
To be fair, I enabled
mystique.
that as well.
Anyway,
I
as
have-
always, keep your ear to the ground, and as I say, it'd be an honor to walk you down the aisle.
Oh, thank you so much. When's that? 8:30.
8:30 Sunday.
British time. Yeah.
How exciting!
The clothes are too restricting.
Ooh, very much. All right, I'll let you go.
Note to self: avoid chafing.
I apply some smooth butter. That usually does the job. April, we ready?
White butter?
I think she might be in her head.
Wonder what she's thinking about.
Judi Dench,
Murder. Bless you.
I just realized
You're right,
something.
go.
Orion, well, your glasses on, you look like a fuckboy.
Look like.
What?
Yeah,
Did you
just you're a
say
man
I'm
about
a
town. You're
nerd
getting
anymore?
married though.
I'm not a man about town. He's not. He's a good lad.
I just heard that you got Did you get quite a high bid on the old auction that happened?
Yeah, I got
That's what I mean. You're desired.
Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah, Deepmore paid 105,000 or something, I think.
Oh my god, that's quite
Didn't
a
know
lot of
Deepmore
money.
had that kind of money on him.
And the longer he waits for this date, the more awkward he's gonna get. 'cause
Oh, well,
we're
it's not happened
married
yet.
and-
Nope, it's not happened
It's
yet.
gonna happen in the next 48 hours, then I guess.
Yeah, the clock is ticking on that date.
Look, he's just gonna have to take a married man out to dinner. What's you know?
Speaking of time slowly running out for someone, April, you ready?
Oh, that sounded very.
By God,
That
yes.
was very ominous.
That's how.
Very ominous.
Hey,
Am I due to
Orion?
die soon?
Oh, I hope not.
No.
I hope not too.
I bloody hope not.
But I
Just bloody got this new job.
we got the death penalty here. I don't know. Is that the thing?
I don't think so.
Innocent
better
until
come
proven
back
guilty.
alive.
That's always my motto, though.
You better come back alive. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I do
come
hope so.
with you, April. Or just stand in the corner of a room, make sure you don't die.
Oh no, it's just
Um,
this is about someone else's death that we're gonna have a conversation about.
Oh, as long as it's not mine.
No,
That's-
not
that's
yours.
good.
Not yours.
Yes. You want to come to through here?
The new
I'll
fancy
take you to the
office.
So I could take you to me and Ryan's office. A little bit quiet in there.
Great idea. So, you now being co-chief of medicine, does that mean this
Yes.
Take Heart character's gone?
So Take Heart is now just a surgeon. He decided to step down
Well,
from
yeah,
his
you
role.
did have an opening in the surgery department recently, I guess.
Yes, and Take Heart seemed to take quite advantage of that opening.
You think so? Think he had I don't know. I never. He's someone who had eyes on just being a surgeon.
I'm not
Stepping
sure.
down?
It was quite unexpected, you know, why he stepped down and put me and Ryan in charge. But he seemed very keen on taking that surgeon role.
I see. And
I wouldn't suspect that Take Heart would do anything malicious, but he seemed quite happy to be the head surgeon here.
get my rule of thirds on. I see. And when he left, did he seem in any way? Well, I know he didn't leave, but what was kind of his demeanor?
He seemed okay. He seemed a little bit not his usual self. He didn't flirt with anybody or make any weird, awkward comments. He seemed a little bit more, I don't know, reflective, let's just say. A little bit quieter than usual. Me and him had a little
Feel like a
chat, and he
changed man.
seemed... It was a bit, yeah. It's like something, in him changed, and he wanted to do some good. It was, me and him made amends. We had a bit of a strange relationship, let's just say, and he seemed different. But it's good.
Like he wanted to make up for something, you say?
It did feel like that, yes. I assume it's because of the whole... I don't know if you're aware, but Takehart was recently possessed by a demon.
I keep hearing about this hocus pocus
yes.
hooey fooey stuff.
Yes, he was possessed, and he also possessed some of the staff here, myself included. So I feel he was feeling a little bit bad about that whole situation.
Do you think he's in possession of a gun?
I must say, I wouldn't know. Well, I kind of do know something. He did give a gun when he was a demon to Susie.
So Susie,
that was it wasn't Takehart. That was a demon, though. Takehart wouldn't do that himself. Just the demon did.
So Susie's in possession of a gun, you say?
No, well, I don't know if she still has it, but
Now, I assume
she was given a gun.
I assume because Susie owns a security business that she would have one anyway, but still.
She does, for self-protection, looking after her staff.
So, yeah, I'm here to talk about Happenstance, see? What were your impressions of the man?
Can I be blunt?
Yes. Can I be Trick?
You can be Trick, and I can be blunt. I didn't like the man, I'm going to be honest with you. I struggled to see eye to eye with him. I did try.
Is it because of those heels you wear?
I don't wear heels, I just wear trainers.
Oh.
So we did always see physically eye to eye, but on other levels. I did try with him. I was always try to be friendly to him, but he seemed to have a bit of an issue with me.
And what do you think that issue was?
Well, he seemed to have a bit of a thing for Takehart, and there was a period where myself and Takehart had went on a date, and we were kind of flirting a little bit, and Happenstance seemed to be quite upset about that.
You think he was jealous?
Oh, 100% he was jealous. He constantly used to go cry in a corner every time it happened.
Heard a lot about this crying. There was big mentions
He did
at
a
the
lot
funeral.
of it, yes. I did my little speech, So he seemed to have an issue on that front with myself. When I came back, I spent some time away, from the hospital. I needed to clear my head after the whole possession thing. And he was quite accusatory of me. It was quite bizarre.
Accusatory? What do you mean, accusatory?
Yes, his locker had been broken into. His car had also been stolen, and I believe funds taken from the hospital. And he felt the timing of my reappearance, coincided with that. But I can assure you, I had no bloody interest in any of his stuff at all, or his rubbish little car.
But did the timing coincide?
Well, it seemed to happen round about the same time, yes. But I basically, the reason I came back to the hospital is I was attacked up north by a cougar. Thankfully, Lieutenant LeChuck was able to save me from that, and I was actually recovering in hospital at the time.
So you know LeChuck?
Yes, I know LeChuck quite well.
I see. Could you elaborate on quite well for me?
We live together.
Live together?
Yes.
Okay, and was LeChuck aware of this these accusations?
Yes, he was aware of obviously of the robbery. I believe Happenstance had called him to come investigate. And LeChuck was with me a couple of times when Happenstance accused me or hinted at accusing me of stealing his stuff, which, again, why would I want to steal his stuff? I don't know.
I think it's more the money. The money?
I also have no interest in the money. I've got plenty of money, as I have. So I wasn't interested in stealing hospital funds. Why would I do that?
Well, the thing about money is you can always have more of it.
Well, you know, of course, but I get paid quite well here, and also, if anything, I want to see the hospital thrive. I don't know why he would think I would steal money from a hospital that I was quite keen to, you know, help be in charge of.
So, when was you were at the fundraiser was to make up for this stolen money, yes?
Yes. Happenstance had a masquerade ball to raise some funding for the hospital, which was, you know, as I said, I wasn't a big fan of the guy, but I thought that was very honourable.
Yeah, and did you see him there? Did you talk to him?
We had a couple of conversations. They weren't the friendliest, but as I said, you know, we were not exactly friends. He kind of started his accusatory language at me again. I will admit, I was a bit annoyed. You know, I was trying to have a nice time. I didn't really need that at a party.
Did anyone witness this?
Yes, I believe when he first started it, LeChuck was with me at the time, and then I had a little quiet word with him, you know, myself in the hall, just to basically ask him to stop doing it.
I see. And what? I mean, did you? Other than this, how was Happenstance that night? Did anything seem off about him? Anything? Did you mention any other kind of arguments or anything? Any other problems he was having with anyone?
I saw him have an argument with Susie Crumplebottom that got quite heated, that myself and actually LeChuck, we both sort of walked over to see if we could help. I didn't hear what the argument was about. You know, by the time we walked over there, they were just walking away from each other, but it was quite loud and quite heated. He also had a bit of a strange one during the auction. So he had an auction raised where he was raffling off dates with some of the citizens of the city. He seemed to upset a Mr. Woof. I don't really know what was going on there, but yes, I think that Mr. Woof thought he was going to get a lot more money than he was worth. And I think Happenstance just kind of sold him off at the cheapest price really anybody could get.
How much?
I don't actually remember the amount, but he did go to Davy Trout, and I can't imagine Davy Trout would have spent much money.
No, not at all. We're neighbours now, me and Davy.
Oh, so Davy's actually in the hospital at the moment.
Oh, he is?
He had quite a nasty fall last night. He's kind of in a coma, but you know we're hopeful that he'll come through soon.
Not Davy. Sweet Davy.
He's so lovely, and only recently I had to help him inflate his arse back up after he smashed his bum.
Was that with like a pair of bellows?
We gave him a blood transfusion, and then we were just kind of pumping the bum back up. It got too big at one point, but we managed to get it back down to its normal weird, cute.
Did that thing
size.
happen that happens in Space Jam, where you inflated him so much he then flew around like a little balloon?
We could see him slightly levitating, and that's when we realised I think we've went too far with this bum.
We've all been too far with a bum every now and then.
It happens. It happens.
I see. And when did you leave the party?
I left the party actually when LeChuck got a phone call about shootings happening. As it turns out, that shooting was Happenstance being shot. So when we got that call, me and LeChuck rushed to the hospital. And when I got there, Take Heart was already on the scene with Happenstance and gave me the sad news that he had passed away.
Sorry, I'll explain stuff in a moment, Sociophobe, once we kind of finish the scene.
Very sad.
Yeah, very sad.
It's a shame when, you know, bad things happen to kind of okay people.
Do you think if he was still here and Take Heart left, do you think he would have been made Chief of Medicine?
No, not at all.
Why do you think that?
He just wouldn't have been. He was a good surgeon, and he was better in that role.
It's not disturbing. You're not disturbing. Don't worry.
Yes, I
nothing to
really
apologise
not
about.
really experienced the world-renowned surgery myself. Maybe others had around here. But personally, I hadn't seen it.
I see. And was this spot thing you were always looking for to become chief?
it was never really my goal, but after everything that happened with Take Cart and he wasn't really around as much, I felt, maybe this is what my calling should be, look after this hospital. Me and Ryan were basically doing it anyway, keeping things in tip-top shape when Take Cart was doing whatever bloody Take Cart was doing.
Okay.
Because we very rarely saw him around here. He was always gallivanting around.
What about you? Do you have a weapons license?
No, I don't think I've ever even held a gun in my life. I've had a gun pointed at me. That was fun. But I've never held a gun.
I gotcha.
I'm more of a, not that I ever partake in violence, but I'm more of a melee person.
Oh, what's your snooker cue, baseball bat?
No, well, during my possessed time, I was quite partial to a hammer.
Jesus Christ.
Not that I ever used it, I was just, I was possessed. I wasn't in control of my actions. I've been through quite a lot, We've been possessed, and then I got robbed, and then my car got broken into, and then I got tased several times, and it's been very stressful.
Okay.
And then, I had feelings for Take Cart, I'll admit that. I'm guilty of one thing, but I don't anymore. I'm completely over it, and very happy now.
With LeChuck?
Yes.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Miss Winter. Sorry,
No,
Dr.
no.
Winter. No disrespect.
No, that's fine. April's fine.
Yeah, thank you for your cooperation.
What I've given you has helped. I hope you find out who murdered poor Happenstance. R.I.P.
Oh, as Chief of Medicine.
Yes.
Do you know what happened to the funds that were raised?
I have not been aware. I believe they're still missing. I have not heard anything about them being brought back to us or anything at all.
So, do you know if... Because my understanding was they weren't found on the body.
By God. Yes,
you need to ask Take Cart if they've been put in, because I guess you wouldn't have known what the number was before they were put in.
No, Take Cart didn't disclose any of that information, and Take Cart didn't advise if he was ever given any money that was stolen and put back. I've never seen any record of any transaction being made there. But it's difficult for me to do a deep dive into that. But
he's the only one I can ask. Hopefully, I can track him down.
Yes. The last I saw him, he was riding off into his motorbike. Very cinematic it was.
Ooh, I like when things look cinematic.
By God.
Like this view out the window.
It's a lovely view, isn't it? You get to see it, especially now with the snow. It's very nice. I'm quite glad that I can kind of call this office partially my own.
I just got an office, and the view I have is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, what's your view like?
It's almost like you're looking from underground in a way.
By God, that sounds a bit haunted almost.
It does. It's a very haunting image.
But is it cinematic?
Not particularly, no. Which is a shame. So you really won in the office competition there. With this snowfall.
Yes, I do. Go me.
Well, congratulations, and
Oh, thank you.
if I have any more questions, are you happy to answer them when I come and find you?
Of course, yeah, I'm more than happy to cooperate. As I said, me and Happenstance, we weren't pals, but I would like to know, who killed him, get justice served. Don't like crime.
I hate crime.
Oh, crime is the worst.
So much. Oh, thank you, Cicero. Well, I'm going to head on off, but thank you so much.
No, of course. Do you want my contact details?
Oh, yes, that'd be very helpful. And I'll give you mine in case anything springs to mind that you may have...
Of course, and let the record be shown how helpful I am. If you were a police officer and you were doing a record.
You've definitely made me think about something. I'll tell you that much. Right. Thank you, Dr. Winter.
No worries, I'll walk you out. It was, lovely chat.
Yeah, sociophobe. So yes, we're investigating a murder of Dr. Douglas Happenstance.
You're not dressed very festive, though. It seems like everybody in this is very festive right now.
It just doesn't fit my vibe is the problem.
Oh, of course, yeah. It would probably ruin a very cinematic vibe you've got going on.
Who was my other character? And it all kind of kicked off.
If you need to speak again, just give me a call.
Topic to drop.
Thank you.
No idea. I was going to see my mom.
Pleasant night, everyone. I can appear now. Hello. Sociophobe. You in there, LeChuck?
Yeah. How's it going?
Can I come in?
Sure.
So LeChuck.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been speaking to Dr. April Winter. You said you know them?
Yeah, we're together.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that before.
Oh, I mean, I didn't think that was useful information. But yeah.
Well...
Did you have more questions, or...?
I'm just curious why you didn't think that was useful information.
Oh, I mean, no, I was just trying to, remember everything from the party, give you all the info about who seems suspicious, who had arguments with them. I thought that's what you were after.
That's right. And you did say that there is a bit of bad blood between Happenstance and April.
Yeah, okay, so, look, when his stuff got stolen, right, for some reason, he thought April did it.
And it was because of the timing, right? She suddenly reappeared. And...
I mean, he mentioned that, but, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that happened that day. There's a lot of other stuff that happened that day. You can't just... it's just a coincidence.
So I was asking.
I've looked at the, there was no evidence. There was somebody just went in, the door was probably left open, broke the locker and stole his keys.
She described his car as a stupid little car.
I don't actually remember what car he had. I didn't really know him that well.
So you didn't know him, but you personally witnessed some of the accusations he made?
Yes, one of them was at the party, the fundraiser.
Yes.
He came up to April and was accusing her again of stealing the money, and it happened a few days before in the hospital as well.
How'd that make you feel, LeChuck?
I mean, I wasn't happy about it. Just making accusations for no reason. Like I work with the police.
Thank you so much for the follow.
You need actual evidence to do things like that.
But it wasn't just accusations about anyone. It was about someone you had feelings for, LeChuck.
Okay, that's true. But making accusations about things without proof is not a nice thing to do to people, regardless of who they are.
Exactly, but I just wonder if it bothered you more that it was someone like that.
I mean, I can't say that it didn't, right? I can't say that it didn't, but I basically told him that he doesn't have any reason for these accusations, and just left it at that.
So the only alibis I have for you both are you both being at that party.
You can ask Dietmar.
Okay.
Dietmar was there with me in April towards the second half of the party, and he was there when I got the phone call as well.
Please tell me you didn't do it, LeChuck.
No, I didn't do it.
Not for your new... I could use a big word here. For the lady you love.
Look, if I did that, you probably wouldn't find the body, okay?
That's the other thing. When you first told me about this, you said no evidence could be found, nothing like that. Perfect person to make that happen would be a police officer.
Technically true, but I didn't have a reason to. He was just making accusations.
And would you not do anything to
That's
protect
no reason.
her?
I mean, if it seemed like he was gonna harm April, then yeah. But just accusing someone of something, I just argued with him for a bit.
Yeah,
it's not really like I wouldn't go and kill him for that.
But it ruins her reputation. She probably wouldn't be the chief of medicine like she is now.
I mean, she is anyway. Right
yes. Now that Happenstance is out of the way.
I don't think he was next in line for that.
Do you not think so?
No, because to be chief, you need to be always someone who's always on duty, someone who's who would be like managing the place. April has been doing that for a while now.
I see.
Just managing the team with the EMS.
Now, let me put a hypothetical situation out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we can say for sure that, yeah, sure, April didn't do it because April was with you at the party.
Okay.
But let's just put a hypothetical out there.
Mm-hmm.
If I did discover there was April, would you willingly arrest her?
It's not April, though.
I know, I'm saying it. This is a hypothetical situation. Or if it was any crime.
Yeah, I would do my job. But it's not April.
So you put the duty over Dr. Winter.
Well, that's the answer I'm going to give you right now, but are you going to believe me? Probably not, right?
At the moment, I don't know what to believe, LeChuck. I can't believe... Why didn't you tell me in the first place?
Because whatever I say right now is... tell you what?
About the situation you were with Dr. Winter.
Well, you seemed like you were in a hurry. You wanted to go with Levi, and there was a lot of people around the PD.
I mean, we're talking for a while before that.
As many info as I can. You already said you were going to talk to April as well. I just didn't see it as like... I don't think it was necessary to mention, but I mean, yeah. Again, Dietmar was there, okay? Dietmar was there when we received the call, and we've been chatting to him for like 15... Since the point where Take Heart left with Happenstance, until we received the phone call, me and April was there and Dietmar was nearby. So if you ask Dietmar, he'll confirm it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry to put you in this situation, Chuck, but I've got to look under every table and...
No, I get it.
Through every cat flap, as the old phrase goes.
Yeah. You have to look at everything. You need to get all the sides of the story, everybody's perspective on it. I get it. If you find out like who is at the bar as well, I can't remember if it was Bobby or Stella. They can probably tell you who's there at what time.
Excellent. I will do that. I don't want to have to do it, LeChuck, but I hope it wasn't you. It can't be. It just can't be. I refuse to believe it if that's what I found out.
Again, if it was me,
Big
he
if.
wouldn't just be. It wouldn't just be a body left at the construction site. There wouldn't be anything to find.
It's exactly the thing, though. But if I was to do that, that's what I'd think. I'd be like, well, the Chuck wouldn't leave any, wouldn't do it that way. So what a perfect way to make it seem like it wasn't you is to do it the opposite way as what everyone would think you would do it.
It would still be a bad plan.
If that makes sense.
No, I see where you're coming from, yeah. But again, if this was something that was putting my life or April's life in danger, then you would have reason to suspect me. Just some random person making accusations with no basis in reality about what happened.
Though you have
I don't
to
think
say,
that's a reason to do anything about it.
It does seem a little odd that she disappeared for a while, and when she returned, it's the same day money was stolen.
Did she tell you how she came back?
Said she got attacked by a cougar. Is that how you met?
It's not how we met, no. But so she was up north, near Palito Bay. She was still away. Like she went away after the whole possession thing, because she went through a lot. All of us went through so much. Even me getting back into the job and trying to get back to normal. It was very difficult.
A lot of this whole twisted web seems to be caught up in the aftermath of this whole possession thing.
Yeah, like everybody's lives has been changed and to some extent by it. You were out to the sea at that point, right?
Yeah, I didn't really come into much contact with this big heart fella.
Lucky, to be honest. But yeah, so while I just tried just focusing on the job to distract myself, April went away for a bit, and the reason she came back at that specific day is because she got attacked by a cougar. And then I went up north along with some other EMS to respond, saved April, brought her back to the hospital, and then the next day she just came back to her job. So unless you're saying that we trained the cougar to attack people at a specific time, then yeah.
If anyone could, though, the Chuck and Seal.
Oh, I don't know about that. I usually shoot them. I got attacked by it as well.
You got attacked by one too?
Yeah, by the same one.
Oh, and that was the kind of first thing you two had in common, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was the whole Descartes thing is.
You got a lot to catch up on sociophobe.
Yeah. But it wasn't the first time we met April. But yeah, that just shows you that the timing of her coming back is just a coincidence.
You could say it was a moment of happenstance.
Oh, yeah, you could say that. We should probably try to look into who would want to steal Happenstance's car and break it to his locker. Like everybody's focused on the money that was stolen, which is, I mean, that's the biggest thing. But someone clearly was after Happenstance himself.
I still don't know if the money itself is what happened to the money that was raised.
Oh, we never found it.
Wasn't on the body.
No. It was not on the body when we found it.
Or
and,
in the deceased's bank account.
I believe the detectives will look into that, but yeah, the money is gone.
Who's your pal?
We have no idea where it went.
Well, thank you, LeChuck. I know this wasn't an easy conversation for you to have.
No. Anything I can do to help.
Next I gotta talk to Sushi, but I guess they're not here tonight, so... Last few bits of questioning might have to be on Sunday.
Yeah, so...
Oh, you know David!
I mean, there is the wedding tomorrow as well. Maybe Susie will be there.
I thought that was on Sunday.
Oh, is it?
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is right now, to be honest. But yeah, you've got the wedding, and you've got the announcement for the mayor thing.
Okay. Alright, well. I'll try my best, but I feel like things are starting to piece together.
That's good.
Alright, thank you very much, LeChuck. You should have yourself a, go gentle into that dangerous night. Or in this case, daytime.
It's gonna be night in a bit, yeah. Thanks. You stay safe as well.
Thank you. So yes, Social Folk, there's a lot to catch up on. Like I say, you've only been kind of watching for 2 days of stuff going on in this server. So, there's no way I can catch you up. And it's mad to think how much has happened in a couple of months. Like you just heard, there's been possessions and... Get my hat back on. But yes, this is Trick Dacy. I've accidentally smashed my car window, as I always do. And he's investigating the murder of Happenstance. So first some money got stolen from the hospital. So Happenstance put on a fundraiser. And after this fundraiser, during the fundraiser he got a phone call to come to a construction site. And whilst he was at the construction site, he got shot. So this Dr. Takeheart we've been talking about had driven. Was the only person at the scene of the crime when the murder took place. He didn't witness the crime itself. So he says. But there have been various different arguments that took place at this, a few weeks beforehand and at this masquerade ball. So one of those was with, as we just saw, April, who I think you came in the middle of the questioning of. Someone else called Ralph. Someone called Susie. Someone called the Wolf. And the mayor. We've all been witnessed having kind of altercations with Douglas Happenstance, the person who was murdered. What we're currently doing is going around and interrogating those people. And basically they've all kind of said, oh, I saw this happening. So it's all been done through what people have witnessed. So we're at the moment trying to rule people out. And it's also led on to other things, so there's a chance that LeChuck has done it to kind of try and protect April. There's someone called Danny the Donkey. We've just learnt in the previous... No, there was a funeral at some point for Happenstance, and then there we learnt that Danny the Donkey owed money from this masquerade ball. But I don't think he's around. Doesn't look like it. It's true. So, yeah, Trick here used to be in the police. And then he left to start up his own private business because A, he didn't like the admin. And B, that when he got promoted, he wasn't allowed to drive his little... he used to have a little scooter. He wasn't allowed to drive that around anymore. So April... don't think I've got Danny's number anyway. So we're going to just quickly check some alibis.
Dietmar.
Hey there, Dietmar. It's Trick Dacy.
Trick Dacy, how the hell are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you, Dietmar?
I'm doing alright, buddy. I'm doing alright.
I'm just kind of working on the Happenstance case. I wonder if you could fill in some blanks for me.
I can certainly try.
All I need to know is... when did, Chuck and April Winter, when did they leave the party?
Oh, geez. That's a great question. Give me a second to think about that for you. See, I don't remember them leaving. I remember them because it was Chuck that told me something had gone wrong because he got the call.
She.
They maybe snuck away for a bit, but if they did, I don't remember. As much as I was paying attention, I seem to recall them being there for most of the evening.
But you think there is a chance that they both could have snuck out, you say?
Yeah, there's a chance. Like, I wasn't actively watching or anything, you know, but it's not something that I remember thinking of as suspicious or what have you.
Yeah, were you on duty whilst you were at the party?
I wasn't, and neither was Chuck.
I see, so you wouldn't have had an alert, like, you wouldn't know if he'd left before or after an alert came
No,
through.
we ended up getting, it was Chuck that got the call that something had happened, and me and him ended up going along to the scene.
I see. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you, Dietmar.
Alright, well, have a good one, Trick.
You too. You've been very helpful. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
You too. Love you.
Love you.
Ooh. So, they could have snuck out. They weren't on duty, so Dietmar didn't know when immediately that the crime had happened. LeChuck. Is this the downfall of LeChuck? Oh. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. I have no idea where I am. Trying to find Popular Street. Trying to find Popular Street. Oh, I think that's the bridge I need to go over. One thing about this game that's worth knowing. Sociophobe is I'm terrible at knowing where anything is. Oh, I'm on the right road. I have no sense of direction on this thing, so I'm constantly going around, just getting lost. I don't want to say April did it, but April did it. I mean, things are looking like it could, if it was April, it looks like it was April in cahoots with the good man, LeChuck. Who was that? Oopsie. One important thing we need to do. Which door's mine? I can't remember. Is it this one? Ring doorbell. No, not this one. This? Where's my door? Here. This one. Yes. could have been a greater RP, so who cares? I was on Rust. Not during the golden period, where I was on there for when it kind of became Q11. Whoopsie. I did my kind of big Rust thing was I did a thing with Scroobius Pip where I did something called National Treasure. That was kind of my big Rust moment. It was quite a ball ache, but paid off. Trick Dacy Investigations. I love Scroob. Well, he's doing TPR Friday as we speak. I'm going to get this car parked, and that's me done for today. But I hope we've had some revelations. We've only got a couple more people to question, I think, and we could be heading towards our conclusion, I reckon. So I hope we can do next weekend. So if you want to find out who the murderer is, hopefully next weekend we can reveal all. But it's been a lot of fun. I've had a good time. I feel like that's moved. Was that there in the first place? I thought it was closer to the... This vehicle can't be stored. Why not? What's happening? What's happening? I'm sure my car park was here. Oh dear. I definitely paid it, didn't I? Oh, I'm glad. That's great to know. Why can't my car... I definitely paid it off, didn't I, when I went there? Oh no. I can't lose this car. Yeah, I paid 2k, exactly. Why can't this car be stored? I'm so confused. Also, my car parking space wasn't there. It was by the lamppost. Wasn't it? It was here. Oh, there it is. There we go. That was someone else's car park. I didn't realise I could see other people's ones. Ah, great. Ah, I'm glad you'll be back, Sir Chapeau. Thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, I don't know how many of the VODs are left, is the other thing. So if you wanted to try and catch up on some stuff. Though I'll probably try and put together some kind of overarching story, like, because I always download them afterwards as well. So I'll try and put together something. Because my pillbox ones used to start with a previously on, but I don't do that with my what you call it. I don't do it with the Trick Dacy one, so maybe that's something I need to start doing. Right, let's have a look. Who's on to do little raid 2? We gotta go and see our little special guy, right? Go see our little special guy. Exactly, that's Sushi. That's what I'm talking about. How fun is that? Stream manager. But yeah, have a nice everyone. Have a lovely weekend. Hope you all have nice things planned. Enjoy the rest of your Friday nights. Where are you, Cutter? There he is. And have a nice. That's all I got. That's all I got here is to have a nice. So have a nice. God damn it. Bye bye. Bye bye.